Our story begins in the midst of World War II. In 1943, President Franklin D. Roosevelt had just finished the Casablanca Conference. The journey home was long and dangerous. He had to cross the entire Atlantic by ship, vulnerable to German U-boats at any moment. His military advisors grew anxious. "Mr. President, this is too risky and too slow. The future belongs to the skies. You need your own plane." So, an ordinary military transport plane, a C-54, was sent to a hangar. Engineers received a special mission: transform it into the president's flying office. This wasn't about luxury, it was about survival and duty. They installed the first airborne telephone, allowing the president to direct the war from above the clouds. They designed a clever hydraulic lift to quietly and privately wheel President Roosevelt, who used the wheelchair, into the cabin. This was to protect his dignity and the secret of his health. When this cumbersome yet vital aircraft first appeared, reporters dubbed it the Sacred Cow because it was inviolable and one of a kind. The soul of the first Air Force One, though it didn't have the name yet, was born. Its purpose was to ensure the president could safely fulfill his duties at all times. Fast forward to 1953. President Eisenhower was flying. His plane, like all Air Force aircraft, had a regular radio call sign, Air Force 8610. On that same day, in the same airspace, an Eastern Airlines commercial flight was cruising. Its call sign was Eastern 8610. Then, the air traffic control tower called out, 8610. Report your position. A tragedy nearly unfolded. Both pilots responded simultaneously. This is 8610. The radio waves filled with confusion. Controllers and pilots broke into a cold sweat. They had almost directed two planes into a collision. The incident left everyone shaken. How could the aircraft carrying the nation's president share such a similar call sign with a commercial flight? An emergency meeting was convened immediately. A solution was needed, a name that was absolutely unique, unmistakable, and commanding, to represent the mobile authority of the president in the sky. Thus, a simple yet monumental decision was made. From this day forward, any United States Air Force aircraft carrying the President of the United States shall be called Air Force One. From that moment, Air Force One was no longer just an airplane. It became a sacred call sign, a mobile totem representing the United States itself in the skies. Born from a near disaster, this name was forged into an eternal law of safety. By President Kennedy's era, jet travel had shrunk the world, and the president flew farther than ever. But Kennedy looked at his new aircraft, a powerful Boeing 77, and frowned. It was painted in a dull, monotonous, military olive green. "It looks lifeless," Kennedy said. "It should look like America, confident, bright, forward-looking." He commissioned the most celebrated designer of the time, Raymond Loewy. Loewy poured his heart into the task. He wasn't aiming for mere decoration. He wanted to make a statement. He chose three colors: cloud white, representing purity and idealism; celestial blue, symbolizing broad vision and hope; metallic sunrise, outlining strength and radiance. With a sweeping stroke, he emblazoned the fuselage with the words, "United States of America," stamped the presidential seal with dignity on the nose, and painted a flowing American flag on the tail. When this blue and white giant, designated SAM 26,000, first soared into the sky, the whole world took notice. It no longer hid behind military paint. It proudly displayed itself. Kennedy and Loewy together shaped an elegant, confident, and unforgettable face for American power. This image was henceforth etched into history, becoming a symbol of national pride. By the late Cold War, the world had grown more complex, with threats everywhere. The presidential aircraft had to become the ultimate, most resilient fortress. Thus, driven by Presidents Reagan and George H.W. Bush. The most extraordinary modification project in aviation history began. Engineers took to Boeing 747 airliners. Their mission: turn them into a flying White House and a doomsday shelter. They succeeded. They clad it in armor capable of withstanding the electromagnetic pulse of a nuclear blast. They fitted it with an aerial refueling probe, allowing it to fly continuously for 7 days and nights. Through the fallout of a nuclear exchange, they filled its belly with fire-retardant foam to keep it safe during an attack. They wove a web of 87 telephones and 19 televisions inside its cabin, ensuring the president could command the globe from any corner. In 1990, the new Air Force One VC-25A was delivered. It inherited the mission of the Sacred Cow, carried the call sign born from crisis, wore the blue and white livery chosen by Kennedy, and was finally forged into a flying superfortress designed to carry the hope of a nation's continuity, even after doomsday. So you see, Air Force One was never designed out of thin air. It is history, built layer upon layer. It began with necessity, wartime travel, was named by crisis, mid-air chaos, was shaped by aesthetics, national image, and was ultimately realized for survival, ultimate protection. It grew from a rudimentary flying office into the wings, shield, and face of a nation. This is the story of Air Force One's birth, an American legend about security, identity, and resolve.